a world of your own. This is lesson number 2 in this series of lessons that's titled, Feeling is the Secret. Feeling is the Secret is one of the books, Neville, one of many that he wrote. One book that you have here, the title of that book is Essential Collection. Is that what it's called? Yes. Or The Essential Collection? Just Essential Collections? No. What's the title of your book? The Essential Collection. I didn't, in case someone is looking it up, I just wanted to say it right. The Essential Collection is a compilation. The one book has about 8 books in it of Neville's. 8 individual books, if not 9, but I think it's 8. One of the books in that collection, that's why it's called a collection, is entitled Feeling is the Secret. That book has 4 chapters in it. Do you know what the chapters are? Chapter 1, I guess, is the Lord and its operation. So we're teaching from chapter 1 in the book, Feeling is the Secret. All right? Now, last week was the first lesson, and the topic was the law and its operation. Today, on that same chapter, the law and its operation, we have a new lesson in it, under it, and the topic is a world of your own. Now, a world of your own helps us to go deeper into the understanding from a practical level, practical aspect of the law and its operation. It helps us to understand the law and its operation deeper with more clarity. Are you following? Now, the spirit, the writing, the teaching of Phineas Parker's Quimby is going to help us understand with more clarity the lesson, the law and its operation. You're following me, right? Yeah. So we're not coming up with anything new. You understand? This is the same lesson from last week, clarified in a way that helps us to understand it, to be able to practice it. I know you heard me. Practice. So this is a practice, a practical lesson. Now, how are we going to practice this? In the moment. Right here, right now. See, the stuff we do, we don't take it away. We carry it. You get the difference? We carry it and we practice it now. We're eating it now. The scripture says, take this book and do what? Eat it. Practice. Did you know that was in the scripture? No, I didn't. Take this book and eat it. To eat means to digest. Come on now, yeah. Eat. Eat it. Eat it. Taking it, ingest it, consume it, assimilate. Let it assimilate, digest. All right. Now, let's go back to the dinner table then. Devour. And as soon as you eat a substance or whatever it is, it begins to go to work in your system, doing what it is, what it's designed to do. Nourish, restore, change, whatever, cause a change. That's what happens when we take these words and eat them. We have to get out of the attitude of thinking that what we eat now is going to do something later. It's doing something now as we eat, as we assimilate. The whole theme, idea, fundamental basis of what we're teaching here is right now. Right now, already. And it's working now. And so the way this works is, reviewing from last week, is only one way: in your feeling. In your feeling. And that brings us back around to the title of the book, Feeling is the Secret. Now, those of you who have been readers and students of Neville for many years and have read a number of his books, you will find, and you have found, that his writings are redundant, repetitious. In every book, the fundamental teaching is one single thing: feeling. Feeling is the secret. Now, it appears that he's talking about different things and the different topics and the different books when he talks about imagination, because he writes a lot about imagination, right? But it's still feeling. It gets back to feeling. And so we're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks on talking about one single thing. Now the topics might change week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Do not forget that we're only talking about feeling. Feeling, he's going to say in your pass out that I gave you last week, that because what we're going to use today is this pass out here on A World is of Your Own, and last week's pass out, Law and Its Operation. That's what we're using today. Well, it's going to tell you, it's going to call it the secret of creation. Feeling is the secret. And that is the secret of creation. That's what he is saying. Isn't it wonderful? Slow it down. So first I'm going to read to you an excerpt from the Quimby manuscript. How many of you have that book, the Quimby manuscript? You do. You do. Okay, for $100, I'm going to send it to you by email. I have it in my computer now. That was a joke, in case somebody listening to the video or audio starts sending me $100. I guess I get these $100 all over the world, and I, feel guilty. I have it in my computer. I don't know how I got it. It's been there for 20 years. Because it's the whole book, 19 chapters. Now what I'm going to do is send you the book. But you have to understand that I'm going to be working with excerpting lessons from his book as we go along to help us to go deeper into this book, Feeling is the Secret in Neville's work. So the reason I'm going to be using a lot of Quimby is because he's saying the same thing, but he puts it in a practical way, how to do this. So I'm going to send you the book. From his book, chapter 7, because chapter 7, 8, and 9 is upstairs. He's dealing with people on 101. And during this period, people are writing to him for help. They're in different parts of the country. In 1850s, 1860s. And sometimes he would go to them. Well, how do you think he traveled? And how do you think mail traveled in those days? How difficult it must have been for somebody who's got a few days to live. Because all these people had short time to live. Or they were living with debilitating situations and had been bothered with these incurable situations for years. How could these people get to Boston, get to, that part of the country easily? So he wrote, and they wrote back to him. This is the beginning of, in our teaching, the concept absent treatment. Absent treatment. And so what he was doing was absent treatment. And what he was doing was instructing them by long distance. This is what I want you to do, he would say. And what he was doing was disabusing their minds. What he was doing was challenging their beliefs. And it was challenging to him and for him to get them to change their minds. So his goal in working with them was to change their mind, get them to change their mind, change their thinking to the end that they changed their belief. And when he was successful to get them to change their belief, the result was the cure. The result was the healing. And so he was not a student of the Bible before he started this practice. Later in his practice, when he did begin to search the scripture and read the scripture, he discovered that he had not discovered anything new. He said that all he was doing was practicing what was in the New Testament, the teachings of Jesus, boiled down to one single idea: it is done unto you as you believe. It is done unto you as you believe. He taught that as a result of a long time experience in dealing with people in the one-on-one and healing, that the majority of them were sick due to their religious beliefs. Their religious beliefs. During the era of his teaching, Calvinism was the predominant religious teaching in America. Do you understand Calvinism?
Calvin.
Okay. So its main idea of fundamental Protestant fundamental teaching, Protestant, out of which grew later on the various religious denominations here, Baptists and Methodists and all those different religions. Originally, all these preachers popped up and started all these denominations.
Was it Catholic already? Was Catholic before Calvinism?
Probably so. The question is, Catholic was before. But the Protestant religions, grouped it under that. Then after all of that, all of these, religious denominations, and they were strong during that time. And their fundamental teaching was, literal interpretations of the Bible. Out of that, they were teaching basically fear doctrines,
Right.
And their lives were governed by this, because, they preached the devil, and it was causing this in your life and all of this. So when he was able to reinterpret, so when they asked him, what is the cure to your success in working with people? And he would say, my explanation is the cure. Explain away the error. Teach them to rethink what you think is causing this. There is nothing external that causes problems in your life. No matter what you're experiencing in life, there is a law of cause and effect. The cause is in your mind. And that's why we talk about consciousness, the law in its operation. The law of what? The law of consciousness. And the law means how it works, how the consciousness works. The how of anything and how it works is the science of that thing. So am I right? So we're talking about the science of mind, how the mind works. That's what science of mind means. How mind, which is the law of mind, works. And so what we're doing here is taking our time and we're going back to basics. This is what we learned when we first walked into this teaching. You have to start with lesson 1. And this is basics. We're just reviewing. But we're reviewing in a way that we can eat this stuff, which means to take it and let it do what it do. Let it do what it do. Let it do what it do. But this is why we got to get it into feeling. So let's see what he says here. Now, the other reason that we're using this, we're going to be using this for a while, and you take this one pass out here, which is condensed to page 1 and page 2. This is a condensation of what he is reading. In the sense, I'm just eliminating a lot of fluff that he has in here because he's repetitious. Our guided meditation and our healing meditation that we're going to be using this year and perhaps for a long time for you is being developed out of this concept. So let me read it. Then we're going to go back to the pass out from last week, the law of its operation. He is responding to a letter that he has received, Quimby, in 1856. A woman had written to him. Now he's responding to this letter. He says, "Madam, the letter was received, and now I sit down to answer your inquiry regarding your lameness, regarding your problem. It seems to me that the skin on the skin is thinner and has a healthier appearance. But you cannot be made to believe anything that is in plain contradiction to your own senses. I can't make you believe. You cannot be made to believe anything that is in plain contradiction to your own senses. This problem, in other words, that you're experiencing, it's hard for you to change your belief about it, the realism, the reality of it, the gravity of it. I mean, you're in pain, you're suffering, you're hurting. You have received the diagnosis. All of the evidence is there that this is a problem. Now, so we stop and think about our prayer goals, our prayer concerns, what you're concerned about in your life, whether it's material, provision, a healing in a relationship, a medical diagnosis, fill in the blank. This is what he's talking about. He's saying how difficult it is to believe anything else when your senses tell you that you're experiencing this. He says, and as your opinions have been formed from the evidence of persons in whom you have placed confidence, and facts have gone to prove these opinions correct, it is not strange then that you should hold on to your belief about this situation. You feel it? Yeah. The doctors have seen it. The lab reports show it. You get up in the morning with it, and he's still talking to you that way. And she still hates you, you know what I'm saying? And you're still getting rejected every round. You still getting denials. You go, your credit score is dropping lower and lower and lower. Evidence is there. And the opinions of people are holding these beliefs in their mind about you. Is it not strange that you should hold on to your belief till some kind friend should come to your aid and lead your mind in a different direction? So that's what he was doing. He was a kind friend coming to their aid to lead their mind in a different direction, like Jesus did. Like Jesus did. It is done to you as you believe. Now he says, to remind you of what I tried to make you understand. See, he had been in communication with this woman. Now, to remind you of what I tried to make you understand is a very hard task on my part. For as I said to you, some of my ideas fall on stony ground, some on dry ground, and some on good ground. You remember that story in the Bible? These ideas are in your mind, like the little leaven, and they will work till the whole mind or lump is changed. These new ideas that I'm giving you, the words that I'm giving you, the thoughts that I am impressing upon your mind are like a little leaven. Leaven is yeast, right?
Yeah.
And they will work till the whole mind or lump is changed. That is the underpinning of the idea, the concept of cueing, the French writer, healer. Cuey, anybody remember him? Mm-hmm. Who said, every day, in every way,
yes.
I am getting better and better. These ideas in your mind, like the little lemon, and they will work. It doesn't mean that they have not worked. It doesn't mean that I am not. It means that I am. That's why we're talking about healing is the secret. Now the question will come up 3 months from now. Every day it repeats. Most people have problems with it. That's why we are saying that John 10:10. But the thief comes not, but to steal, kill, and to destroy. And you gotta watch out for it, the ego. You have to watch out for it, because of course the Miracles explains it this way. The ego will have you ask questions to which there are no answers. And that's posed to you as a no answer by the ego. So what you have to do is just set it aside. And understand that it's not always necessary to understand everything fully all the time. Because of course the Miracle says, complexity is of the ego. What I do when it comes to this spiritual stuff is accept. Because I give it a baseline. If Quimby says it, I accept it. If Cooey said it, I accept it. If Jesus said it, I accept it. I'm not going to dissect it. I'm not going to entertain the questions. And that's trust. Yes. Cause 98% of the time, when the doctor gives you the prescription, you take it. But they give you a printout that's 7 pages long. They tell you how this might mess you up. They give you a 7-page printout. Now this might do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, but you take it. But you take it. Most of the times, you do what I do. You just tear it up and throw it in the trash. I don't even read it. Take it. Because I trust this physician. Trust. No question. And you take it believing that it's going to do what the doctor says it will do. Am I right? But now when we get this, we dissect it. What about this? What about that? And you know it's the truth.
Yes. I was just going to say with my doctor, and he's African, he knows herbs. So I said, well, after I take this, you take it and then you die, and then come back and tell you what. So he told him, I said, I'm taking bitter, like when he takes bitter soup. He said, no, because he wants to be a good American stuff.
Amen. Now, does that help?
Yes, absolutely.
See, I am,
Yes.
every day in every way, I am getting better and better, has nothing to do with I am now.
That's right.
That's just ego trash.
Yeah.
I'm already healed. I already have it. So when I say every day in every way, my mind is the yeast. It's the leaven. You know, in my book, The Spiritual Mind Treatment, that I wrote, there's a few pages on what do you do after you pray? What do you do after you pray? And it says, well, here it is in our teaching. We have the spiritual mind treatment, tools. We have meditation, tools. And we have affirmation, tools. Spiritual mind treatment in that third step of realization, we accept that it's done right now. And the fourth step is just give thanks for it. And the fifth step, walk away and leave it alone. Release.
That's right.
And then in meditation supports what you've done in spiritual mind treatment. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee. That's the purpose of meditation. And then affirmation, in my book, I explain how it keeps cleaning up the debris, the fallout, the debris that's around. The little doubt, the little word, the little question, this debris. You're going to have fallout. So if you use your affirmations to keep sweeping around, you clean up the crumbs, the fallout. I am, and that's what you use for that. So it's an affirmation. It's just cleaning up. Those little thousand blows, I say, get thee behind me. You know, and I'm feeling stronger and stronger. Doesn't mean I'm not well. You've asked, he goes, but he's going talking to this woman in this letter. He said, you've asked me many questions, which time and space won't permit me to answer. All these questions. Now, you see, she's asking questions. Asking questions rather than just accept. But I shall write that which seems to be of the most benefit to you. Regarding your coming to me here in Belfast, use your own judgment. Now, let me deal with your problem. He says, the cure of your limb depends on your faith. It depends on your faith. Your faith, then he tells what your faith is. Your faith is what you receive from me. And what you receive is what you understand. Now, if you understand that the mind is the name of the fluids of which your body is composed, and your thoughts represent the change of the fluids of mind, you will then be in a state to act understandingly. Now, this little few lines here are going to be further explained as we read on. And you have to realize that Quimby went through a process of evolution in his own understanding as he practiced. He was self-taught. Do you know what self-taught means?
Yes.
Self-taught. Self-taught. Self-taught to me means that the Holy Ghost, which is divine wisdom, was teaching him step by step as he was doing what he was doing, as he was working, as he was practicing. His consciousness evolved because in the beginning he was practicing with mesmerism, which was the earlier stage of hypnosis. Hypnosis didn't exist. Mesmerism is what it was called, working with Lucius, a person who was working with him as an operator, sitting with people, putting them slightly under, and Lucius, the hypnosis, the mesmerizer, would read the person's subconscious, their thinking, tell them what he was seeing or hearing. Quimby then used that information to then talk to the person and explaining the problem away. And later, as he evolved, he no longer worked with Lucius. He worked independently. You see, because he understood that, hey, this is simple. It's done unto you as you believe. So he set aside mesmerism, hypnosis, and worked directly with the person, you know, reinterpreting and explaining their problem away. But this idea of fluids, he changed it. He developed and began to call that something else, and it shows that as we go forward. So he said, I will illustrate it to you so you can apply your thoughts to your body to receive the reward of your labor so that you can become healed, in other words. He says, as I told you, let's read those two words together. Every thought, once more. Every thought, once more. Every thought, as I told you. And this is what's so important to us in healing. We want to take a break and go take care of the Son of God. We want to take a break and go get alone. We want to take a break. God's working too slow on this. We want to take a break and just be mad and hang out for a while. Am I right?
Yes.
We want to take a break and just hurt a little and come back and pray. But what we are failing to realize that all those thoughts while you're taking a break is canceling out all those 10 years of prayer. It's canceling, it's setting you back 6 months and a year, 2 years, just setting you back. All those weeds now, you got to go back and dig up. You killed them. But these thoughts nurture the dead seeds. The wither, the problem, it's nurturing them, giving them nutrition to pop up again. And you wonder, why does that keep popping up in my garden? It's the negative thoughts, reseeding, reviving, blocking the healing. Now, so therefore, what you will read, what you read last week and studied last week in the law in its operation, it is telling you about, I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, it'll come back. So, he didn't want me to say it. He says, as I told you, every thought contains a substance. See there? Every thought. Oh, what I was going to say. The lesson, the law of its operation, is stressing that the whole purpose of this lesson, Neville is saying, is to teach you how to discipline the mind. Discipline, that's the conscious mind. Discipline how to control your thoughts. And you control your thoughts by knowledge. Knowledge of the law and its operation. As I told you, every thought contains a substance, either good or bad. And it comes in and makes up a part of your body or mind. The thoughts come in and they make up a part of your body or mind. And as the thoughts which are in your system, and as the thoughts which are in your system, what is our topic today? What is the topic? A world of your own. And that's what he's beginning to introduce you to, this concept. When he says in your system, hold on to that. And as the thoughts which are in your system, which he's going to, paragraphs down here, define that as your world. Your system. In other words, in your world. And as your thoughts which are in your system are poison, and the poison has come from without, it is necessary to know how to keep them. How to keep what? The thoughts out of what? Your system, your word, so as not to be injured by them. As I told you, every thought contains a substance, either good or bad. And it comes in and makes up a part of your body, which is your mind. And as the thoughts which are in your system are poisoned by these thoughts that you are allowing to come in, and the poison comes from without, it is necessary to know how to keep them, how to discipline the mind, how to bring discipline to your mind. It is necessary to know how to keep them out of your system so as not to be injured by them. How to control these thoughts that are blocking your healing, that's blocking your answer, that's keeping your good away, that's creating problems in your life, and you keep thinking that it's him, that it's her, that it's it, that it's this and that. Now suppose, he says, you have run around. Suppose that you have around you, he says. Now suppose, imagine, that you have around you a sort of heat. Are you imagining that? Like the light of a candle, for instance. And it embraces all your knowledge, your body being the center. And you having the power to govern and control this heat. You then have a world of your own. So our topic is a world of your own. It's a system. And what we want to do, put in the CV, listen to this. Go to the website, just go reverendahman.org. And the Inspirations website will pop up. And you can listen to this lesson. You can view it and listen to it. Take the CD, listen to it. Take this paper, read it, meditate on it, so that you can get into the fullness of this lesson. Because our lessons are going to evolve week by week by week. We're going deeper, 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 which is higher, higher, higher. And your healing, your answer is not, you're not waiting for it to happen 6 and 7 lessons down the road. This is supposed to be happening now. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Now you got that. What you're looking for as we go to the end of this lesson is an understanding of what he is saying, what he is meaning by world, a world of your own. He's talking about a system, and he's talking about consciousness. He's talking about your awareness. He's talking about where you live. He's talking about where your life is. He's talking about your being, your existence in your world. And he's only talking about your thinking. Your world. I will always quote the prophetess. Your word, my word, his word. That's what she lived with him in a world where she found love, satisfaction. Can't nobody do it like you do it. I ain't never had this before. Now you're talking about leaving me. What am I doing? What I do? And you gone and left me? I'm going to get on that midnight train to Georgia because I can't live without this cancer, without this AIDS, without this lupus, without without this poverty, without this homelessness, without this silence, without this grief. So I'm going to get on that midnight train to Georgia and take on, bring it back, that which has caused me suffering and grief and tears, because I can't live without it. Now, he left for a reason. There must have been a problem. Am I right?
Yes.
Now she's going to get on the train and go get it and find it. And we don't realize that's what we're doing in life generally, likewise. And that's when we need the affirmations after we stay in meditation and after we've done the treatment, where the work was done. Because in the spiritual mind treatment, when you prayed, it was done. That's what you said. You said it, so it is. You said amen, didn't you? Didn't you?
Yes. Several times.
So he's telling you about your world. You got to protect your world. You've got to discipline the mind, is what this is about. He's continuing to respond to this lady in this letter. He says, now in health, this globe, which is your world, of which your body is the center, is in harmony. The heat of this globe is a protection to itself, like a walled city. Remember I talked last week about this wall we're going to build? Yeah. Mexico is going to pay for it. See, we got to build a wall. And why do they want to build this wall? They want to keep something out. What is it that they want to keep out? Anything that ain't white.
Right?
Yeah.
Rich.
They want to keep all darkness, and that's what we have to do, is build our walls to keep all darkness out, but they're talking about dark people.
Yeah.
And we're talking about dark people too, but we're talking about enemy thoughts. Dark thoughts. They want to keep out dark people. Build a wall. Israel built a wall to keep the Palestinians out. And as I said last week, but the wall is not working 100%. But they keep working on the wall. They keep working on the wall. You got to keep working on your wall. Why? Because same thing, we got wall, and the Democrats are arguing when we have a wall. We've already built a wall. But they keep finding a way. So he wants to build a different kind of wall. Now they're redefining the meaning of the wall. Am I right? That's what the argument is going on now. So that the Democrats and the liberals and the other side will accept their concept of building a wall, they redefine the meaning of the wall. Israel, with them still trying to get, so it's a parallel to your life. You build the wall, but the enemy is not going to give up. the intruder, the invader, they have a function. That is to penetrate that wall. Get in there by some manner. That's a universal problem. That's a problem that never goes away in the human experience. But still, you have to work on your wall, tend to your wall. And so what Israel is doing now, they say, is that they're going to build the wall underground and go deep because the other side are trying to tunnel in underground, under the wall. It's okay, we'll just build a wall to keep them in, but they'll still find a way. So that's natural. That's in the natural realm. So knowing that it is something that's always going to be, you have to stay forever, girl, and you have to be on guard all the time. And that's where your meditation comes in. That's where your practice comes in. Every day, in every way. I'm getting stronger and stronger. My wall goes deeper and deeper. My wall goes higher and higher. My walls go thicker and thicker. And there's something within me that's doing what the pill that the doctor gave you, as long as you take it, it's going to neutralize the effect of whatever it is that's been making you throw up. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's going to keep you healthy. That's your powerful good thoughts, your powerful positive thoughts, your powerful I am thoughts, your powerful thoughts of protection, your powerful thoughts of God is with me. God is working on divine intelligence, is working this situation, and it's working out in ways that I will never understand. All I know is that I know that I am all right. It's going to turn out just according to God's perfect plan and God's perfect idea. I have no fear. I have no worry. I'm all right. You see, disciplining your thoughts. The heat of this globe, this idea here, is a protection to itself, like a walled city, to admit none but supposed friends, none but positive thoughts. Now, as every person has the same globe or heat, each person is a world or a nation of itself. How many worlds are there? There are as many worlds in this universe as there are people who populate this universe. There are worlds within worlds. Based on that, your healing rests in your ability to leave other people's worlds alone. It's my world, his world. But you're going to jump up and say, I'd rather live in his world than live in my world. It's alone. You got to learn that there are different worlds. My world is not your world. And your world is governed by, and you live in your world in your perception. Your perception is not the same as mine. So we can't get married. Now I have to marry you. You know why? Even though our perceptions are different, you are willing to meet me. And we're willing to be kind of flexible here to change your perception sometimes, even though I don't like it. It don't work for me. But you got something I want. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to be flexible. Shine us out. And I just like change. And you say, you going to change, all right? And you can make me change. But if I don't want to change, you better go. And that's what I said, but we'll go ahead and marry anyway. This is so good. So then what happens is, you know the rest of the story. You wake up and he's down in Georgia. He woke up and booming, down to Georgia. Perception. Perception is not changing, or at least not moderating, being flexible. Yeah. This is the state of a person in health, he says. You're in a state of health, he says. Now, as we wish to change and interchange with other nations, what are other nations? Other people, other people's worlds. As this is the state of a person in health. Now, as we wish to change and interchange with other nations, so does our house like to enjoy the society of other persons, and as we are liberal, we admit strangers to our city or world as friends. That's how nations do. So he's paralleling this with your individual life. But he's using this as a parable. And he's using this, you see what I'm saying? And he said, as nations, let in people under the guise of supposedly friends. They come in as friends. You're letting them into your nation. He says, when this proclamation goes out, when the word goes out, our globe is filled with all sorts of people from all nations. Give me your tired, so forth and so on and so just come here from everywhere. It's filled with all sorts of people from all nations, bringing with them goods. Bringing with them goods, setting up false doctrines, stirring up strife, till the whole population or thoughts are changed, and man becomes a stranger in his own land, and his own household becomes his enemies. That's what the conservatives and the right-wingers and the supremacists are fighting on this basis right now in terms of the liberal nation. But looking at it figuratively, metaphysically, parabolically, to how your world and how your nation is operating, you are letting in enemies who you first perceived as friends, who disguise themselves, tricked and deceived. And now they have taken their room in your house and use your address. And now you want to go to court and get them out of there here, and the judge says, do they have mail coming to your house? And they tell you, my clothes is in this house. I got mail coming to this address. I have as much right here as you have, the law says. And they're reading the law to you in your own house. And won't leave. That's sickness. That's grief. That's sorrow. That's broken relationships. That's I can't. That's all the isms and the itises. You let in. You didn't watch your wall. It wasn't high enough, deep enough, thick enough. They walked in disguise. I love you. They brought you flowers. They brought you seeds candy. Mr. Goddard, they went and paid $3. Took you to Outback. Not McDonald's. First time somebody ever took you to Outback. He must be all right. Help me with my down payment. You let him in for the wrong reason. You let her, you see what I'm saying? Now that she's in there, talking about I ain't going nowhere. problem in your life came as a friend, now as an enemy, and saying, I'm not leaving. So now you got to go to the chemistry, still chemical store. You got to get a little something that's undetectable. You know what I'm saying, baby? And I like that at the diner. You got to do that for about 6 weeks. You just got to pick up the telephone and say, I don't know what happened. Last night we were laughing at that. I just woke up and it ain't breathing. When did you discover it? I just woke up and he was dead. But you got to do something. That's when your affirmations, you know, before you know it, it's dead. It's not breathing anymore. The enemy is there. So discipline your mind. You can kill it. You can get rid of it. Or you can wake up and say, what happened? All I know is that when I woke up, he was in Georgia. He just left. I didn't even know he was gone. That's him. You can wake up and the problem can be gone and disappeared. You don't know why. Because the Bible says, my ways are beyond finding out. I think I was 8 or 9 years old. My mother had a relationship. See, you can put fear in the thing that fears you. Whose fear is stronger? Yeah, you can be afraid, but fear has its levels. But he put his hand on my mother. Then he looked at me like, what are you going to do? I said this, but I will fight you. But you better not go to sleep. And I walked away. Next day, or that night, he was gone. He told my mother that he saw something in my eyes. And I said, I won't fight you, but you better not go to sleep. But I meant it. Because when I was growing up, I had been indoctrinated by Jet magazine. You remember Jet? Every time you open the centerfold of Jet magazine, somebody was all cut up, laid up. And I used to read that magazine. And I saw a lot of those stories about that kind of stuff happening. Because it was for black folks. They had black stories. And it showed the killings and whatever. And a lot of them went around these relationships. You see. So that's what I had learned. I won't fight you. So sometimes we got to stop fighting. We got to say it and mean it and stick to it, and you will do it. And guess what? The ego will flee. That woman means business. He means business. It's a decisive mind. Am I right? Oh, I will. And the sickness hears that, sees that, believes that, and flees. Am I right? Well, what is the topic? Feeling is the secret. You have to, the conscious mind has to convince the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind receives that ideas and goes to work on it. That's what I just described. That's what we're talking about. And the subconscious mind will find a way to expel the problem, evict the problem, regardless of what the law says. The law says that that person can stay there until a certain amount of time. They must have 30 days. They must have 60 days. And some judges will make you pay. Make them leave with some money. But the subconscious mind takes you to the Court of Appeals. Dismiss. overrule, cancel out, wash out. It takes no consideration of any conditions. You got to go now. In that house, nobody had to give this so and so no 30 days notice. You got no rights here. This little 9-year-old, whatever age I was, said, I won't fight you, but you better not go to sleep. And the Negro, he wasn't no Negro, he was something else. That other thing. Now, as we wish to change and interchange with other nations, so does our house like to enjoy the society of other persons. And as we are liberal, we admit strangers to our city or world as friends. When this proclamation goes out, all sorts of people from all nations come in. This is the state of a person in disease. Now, as there is nothing in your own system of itself to disturb you, you must look for your enemies from the strangers whom you have permitted to come into your land. You must look for your enemy you must look for your enemies from the strangers as the strangers. They are the strangers whom you have permitted to come into your land. Now that we have permitted them to come into our land, that's the sickness, that's the problem, that's whatever. The wonderful thing about this, anything that has been done can be undone. That's the power that you have. Nothing can take that power. Mistakes can be corrected. Any situation can be changed and can be corrected. Any situations without exception can be changed, can be expelled, can be evicted out of your house. And here's the thought that we're leaving on and closing with today. The examples that we've used, that I use, is that it can leave. It will leave on its own. Do we need to meditate on that? The problem dissolves. Here is the thing that you leave here with. You don't work on understanding that. That is the understanding. That is the understanding. But the ego will have you keep on searching and searching and searching and finding something else and you need to do something. That's the understanding. There's nothing after that. That's period. That's God's business. He says, my thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. My ways are beyond, but how I do this is beyond your finding out. That's why I told you, lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge it, and all, keep your mind on me, keep your mind on God, keep your mind on intelligence, keep your mind on knowing. All I know is, period. I know that I know, period. I know that I know that I know that I know, period. Now, all I know is when I wake up, I won't be the same. Because I've been somewhere. So we're going to be talking about, in his book, he talks about sleep, he talks about prayer. In this book, healing is the secret. So, what I want to do now is find out what you got out from this. I want some testimonies, I want some healing. I was this, now I'm that, I was there, now I'm here. Talk about what it's taking. Now let's keep it brief, because we're over time, and my rate goes up after 45 minutes.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. As I hadn't told Reverend Mom, but last week I had to have some medical tests. Well, I had tests in October because over the years I haven't been able to keep down food and it's gotten worse and everything. So in October I had a test and they said I had ulcers. Now, I actually was relieved because there were other things I was, so I was relieved. Well, I had this second test last week and the ulcers are shrinking. So, they're going away. Every day and every way.
In March, it was discovered that I had a huge brain aneurysm on the left side of my head. They told me that the result of this was either I could die or I would have a stroke. I had to threaten the hospital, to Cedars, in order for them to do the procedure in August. By then I said, what has come to me is how I'm important to life. This aneurysm was so big, it was almost an inch open in my blood vessel. Aneurysm is like a cul-de-sac, and they have to put a closing on it. But what came to me was how God was preserving me through this time. I mean, I know stroke victims, and I just felt so, and I'm just reveling in that realization that my life is purposeful, and I'm whole. Thank you.
Yeah, but when you gave us the timeline, it was during that time that you were here. And what you have to remember that prior to that, you have been in this globe for a long time. You have had a unique nation, which is consciousness, for a long time. So when it happened, you had a baseline knowledge, which is faith/belief. And that is what was working all through this process of healing.
Yes.
And that is what brought you through. And that was the base of the healing that worked through the medicine, the medical doctors, the doctors, and all of that, the procedure that you went through. Now, that could have happened without any of that procedure. And this is a problem. This is an area that we get confused with by and in. Now, why didn't it happen the other way? That you just prayed and instantly? I'm not going to ask this as an ego question. That's a trick. Leave that mess alone. Because this is a gift from God to humanity. Science and the evolution of science. Do you see? So, if it is to come through that manner, that's God's gift to humanity, to man. That's God healing in that manner. You could have been led to a herbologist or whatever. And it came that way. Well, that's spirit guiding you that way. You could have been led to the fish store. And the man said, have you ever tried this? And convinced you to try that. And you ate it. And you woke up and the problem was dissolved and gone. Well, he says, my ways are beyond finding out. I have ways that you know not of. What happened with you is that at some point, you accepted the healing. And then when that came about, it came about under the affirmation every day, in every way. I am getting better and better. I'm walking into my healing. I'm walking into my answer. I'm being guided, guarded, and directed. Forget about the problem. Keep your mind on the answer. And stop designing how it's going to happen, through whom it's going to happen, and what time, what point that it's going to happen, because time is irrelevant and is not a fact in the mind of God. Time, if you would become my servant, will be healed. when he met Jesus on the road. Jesus said, I will come. He said, oh, no, you don't have to come. Well, the centurion accepted the healing at that moment. It was at that moment the servant was healed back on the plantation. On his way home, he was met and told that the servant was healed. And the question was, at what time was he healed? When you said you don't have to go? I believe. So you don't know when your healing actually took place. When it manifested through these natural ways, in the natural realm, through that procedure. You were not sick when the procedure was taking place. You were already healed. That is the devil. You were healed before the procedure. That means that whatever you're walking with right now as a sickness, don't claim sickness. Sickness is an effect, is a symptom. That's an outer, hey, what's going on in the subconscious mind? God has already taken care of. This is God's land here. You know, sickness here is up there in your body.
That's right.
Doctor just gave confirmation.
And so that's what makes it easy for the doctors to heal, for the procedure to take place, for the counsel, the financial people to do what they're going to do, for the employers, that you got to make it easy for them to do what has already been done, to manifest and to carry out what God has already stamped. It is finished, it is done. That's how I live, that's how I think. I'm working on some stuff myself. But I don't look at appearances.
Yes.
Judge not according to appearances, but judge ye righteous judgment. It's already done. So now I'm going to go to the doctor and keep my appointment, which is only for one purpose, and that's what starts with a C, confirmation. Anytime you go into a doctor, anytime you go into a problem, you're going for confirmation. Anytime you go to court for a case, you're going for confirmation of what's already been done. My case is already won. It's settled.
Yes.
When I won my lawsuit against Los Angeles County many years ago, sitting outside, had never been to a hearing, to a court, no. But I went one time, and that was at the close of the litigation, when my the attorney was going back and forth. Went for one conference meeting. I'm supposed to sit outside until I was called in. What am I doing outside? Rejoicing. What am I doing outside? Counting my money. What am I doing outside? Making my plans. I'm not going in to challenge a contest. My case is already settled.
Yes.
The man came out and said at the table with me, he said, I've never seen anything like this. He said, the attorney there said he's throwing in the towel. But I had just come out of a series of meditations and didn't want it done. See the completed end. And in our meditation, I was saying, wash your hands. Wash your hands. See, wash your hands. Pontius Pilate. He said, bring me some water. Let me wash my hands. I don't want to be accused of killing an innocent man. So in my meditation, I had, like we're saying, we're going to develop our meditation with this nation, and that's what we're going to be working with, because I'm working on it. So when the man said he's throwing in the towel, my instant thought was, you don't need a towel unless your hands are wet.
Yeah, that was
You don't need a towel unless your hands are wet. You wash your hands. What was I working with, and what was the key to my healing? in my demonstration, feeling. I felt in my soul, in my spirit, it's already done. I have no enemies. The enemy is gone. There's been an eviction here. But if you keep on fighting enemies, that's their power to stay, the resistance. Am I right? Let's close with